Stat. I think I should be recording. Yes, it's recording. Awesome. Hello to Workshop. Welcome to Workshop 3. We're going to be doing stats, getting enemies to attack us, and we're also going to be doing a little bit of UI work in this one. If you, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. We'll try to answer them as fast as possible, as accurately as possible. If you have any questions after the session, there's the support chat or general chat for that and the Discord. Feel free to ask any questions there. And yeah, let's get on with it. So first things first, ignore the big spam. We're going to git branch workshop 03. Good practice. Git checkout workshop 03. Okay, CLS. So we want to be doing stats this time. We want to have health, we want to have armor, we want to have experience. Because right now enemies can follow the player, but they can't attack them. And if enemies attack you, you generally expect to lose health or something, right? Currently our player in sample thing has none of that. Oh, where's player? Jesus Christ. Cube. This is the player. We just have a movement script, we have item collection, and we have a grounding through. Nothing like keep track of health. So actually, first things first, let's go to assets, scripts, and create a new C# script called stats. Why not? Nice simple name. And we open it up. If it opens up, okay, cool. Let's trash a whole bunch of this stuff because we're not going to be needing. Oh, someone's entered the thing. Let me admit them. There we go. Stats, cool. We've removed all the Unity garbage. Let's see. What are we going to need? Well, just initially, let's go and we want, let's say, health. We want armor so we can protect against some damage, maybe block some damage, and let's add experience onto here. We're not going to use that initially, but let's just add that onto there. So to get these into the script, like right now they're just variables. We don't want that. We don't want other people to be able to edit our variables directly. So let's make them, let's add a serialized field attribute and make them private. So that way we can set it from the inspector. However, this might not be like, we might want to be able to just say, here's the starting health, here's the starting armor, here's the starting experience. And then as we play the game, we're going to want to change them, right? Because when we get attacked, our health is going to go down. When we get a new piece of equipment, our armor might go up. So because it has to change, it would be best to set these to like base experience or starting experience, starting armor, and starting health. If I could spell, that would be nice. Base health, base armor, base experience. Then they'll be changed later. To actually allow other scripts to see this, we're going to create properties. So for each of the armor, health, and experience, we're going to create a separate property. Encapsulate big fancy keywords, or not keywords, buzzwords. Experience, get, and set. Okay, we've now got these. So let's see. Like, this should be quite simple. When we attach it to the cube, it now shows up. We can set the base health, armor, and experience. Right. Let's just set that. No, let's leave it for now. Let's implement some of the rest of the stats. So right now we've got these things passed in as parameters to the script from the Unity editor, but we never actually set health, armor, and experience. So let's do that. Private void awake. We add an awake function. So when the script gets started, we need to set health equals base health, armor equals base armor, and experience equals base experience. Cool. Let's actually add a space there. Nice, it'll be a space. And you know what? For now, that could be it. Okay, for now that'll be it. Okay, reloaded. So now, yeah, let's just add some. We're not going to be able for debug. Let's private void start, because start happens after awake. So debug.log whatever health armor and experience. Cool. And we'll then set it to 10 maybe. Base armor of 10, sure. And we'll leave experience at 0. So we should see in the console. Ooh, I must have added. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking of JavaScript. This is what front end does to you. You leave in the $sign. But yeah, we can see that our health, armor, and experience has been set properly. You know what? Let's disable this enemy for now. So we have our stats, and in fact, let's add them to the previously created prefabs, right? So we go into our enemy-based prefab, and then we get the stats script, and we drag it onto the enemy as well. So now the base variant has this. Then let's set the base health to 10 as well. But if we go into the ranged variant, we'll see that it also got the stats script, but let's up its armor to 5. So it's slightly different. Now is also actually a good time to head back to the base enemy prefab and give it a tag. So we'll click add tag, we'll add an enemy tag, so enemy, save, go back to enemy and tag it enemy, right? The ranged variant should also get the same tag. Make sure that happens. We'll be using this later to keep track of what team in inverted quotes each game object is on, so that when a game object attacks a different one, it doesn't cause any friendly fire, right? That should all be self-explanatory. What we're going to do now is create an empty. Let me think. Oh, it's gone out of my head. Okay, what we're gonna do. No, I don't want to do display right now. It would be best if we stuck to the script so people wouldn't be confused. Okay, we're going to go into the prefabs enemy. We're going to create an empty child. Let's call this hitbox. Let's just call this hitbox for now. Hitbox, and we're going to add a component called a box collider. Let's offset this. Yeah, let's offset the position. No, we don't. We want it in front. Z is in front. Okay, so it's now in front of it, and it's the same size. Cool. Let's add a script. Now, okay, we're gonna create it the proper way. So assets, scripts, and right-click, create C# script hitbox. Pardon me. Hitbox. Let's scrap all of this stuff. Not very important. Okay, so require a component type of collider. Do we even care that much? Let's leave that in there. So a private void on trigger enter. I remember what I forgot to do. For now, we're just going to debug.log so that we know what it collided with. Other name entered the hitbox. This is a bit scatterbrained, but going back to the hitbox, we need to set this to its trigger so that we don't actually cause any physical collisions, because the hitbox is just like a concept. It's an area in which you take damage, It's not something you can actually collide with, so it has to be a trigger collider. And we're going to drag the hitbox script onto the hitbox object. What we could also do, or let me see. Oh, god damn it, Visual Studio Code, get out of here. What we could also do, no, where's the best? If you shoot it from behind, would it not register on the collider? I might be misusing the terms hitbox and hurtbox here. The hitbox, I was thinking of just having it be the area that deals damage to a player. So the hitbox would be, it would be on the bullet, and the bullet would then collide with the enemy. The enemy would enter the hitbox, and it would get hurt. I guess it makes more sense to call it a hurt box. Maybe I'm not 100% on the terminology. Yeah, sorry, that's kind of my bad. That's kind of my bad. Okay, it's only been 16 minutes, so you know what? I let's do the hitbox. Let's do the hitbox. Okay. Oh, how I'm so sorry. I'm so scatterbrained right now. Well, we can do a so hitbox is here for enemy attacking the player. For now, yes. Fingers crossed it can also be reused later to attack other entities, but maybe not. It should. It should. Oh my goodness. This is really scuffed. Anyway, is trigger cool? Yes. Script hitbox. Just gonna have to deal with that. So what are two important things that we need on the hitbox? Let's go with a public game object. Parent. So this is here because we might want to later on keep track of which game objects hit us. For example, priority, right? If you've got an enemy that puts the latest game object that damaged it on like the highest priority, so we'll keep attacking them, we might need to keep track of which game object hurt them. So that's what this parent will be. We're not going to use it right now, but it's useful for later. Also, we need to keep track of the damage that the hitbox will deal. The more I say it out loud, the more hurtbox seems better. Yeah, I might have mislabeled it, but we're going to continue. We're going to continue, and we're going to just glance over the fact that I've mislabeled it. We need damage. Okay. And in fact, let's just test it out. Let's just see. The enemy should walk up to us. It should. Okay, cube entered the hitbox. That's good. That's good. That's what we want. Okay. Yeah. Whenever we get too close, we enter the hitbox, and a message is shown. Oh. Next, what we need to do. So on trigger enter, we're going to assume. So to deal damage to other things, we need to get a reference to the stats component on the other thing. So enemy stats equals other dot get component stats. Right. However, say the item enters the hitbox, right? It won't have a stats component, so get component will return null. We have to handle that. And while so we'd have to do if enemy stats equals null, we're just going to return. We're going to silently ignore We're going to silently ignore collisions with game objects that don't have a stats component. While we're here, if you remember, I assigned the enemy tag to the enemy prefab, and that also propagated to the ranged variant. We don't want them having any friendly fire, so what we're going to do is also add a compare tag, other dot tag. Compare tag returns true if the tag of the current object. So the game. So if compare tag can be, it's similar to tag equals other dot tag. stats equals null, right? These two lines are identical, they're equivalent, except that we're warned that it's inefficient. The proper Unity way is to do compare tag. So that's what we're going to use. But it's very similar to what we had previously. Okay, we've now ensured that the two game objects are not on the same team, or in this case, don't have the same tag, and that there isn't a stats component on the other object. Cool, so now we need to calculate how much damage we're going to do, right? For now, it's going to be a simple damage calculation. So enemy stats dot armor. If the armor of the other entity is greater than the damage, we're going to return 0. If it's not, we're going to return damage minus enemy stats. We're going to decrease the damage dealt by the armor. So in this case, if say our melee enemy does 11 damage, right? We as the player have 10 starting armor, and so this, pardon me, we have 10 armor, so this is going to deal 1 damage, right? Because that enemy stats to armor is less than damage, so we return 11 minus 10 equals 1. We're also going to do a debug.log here because I quite like my log output, and it just helps me. Because right now we don't have a UI set up, so we don't know how much damage we're dealing, how much health the player is on. So we're just going to add a quick dealing damage to either dot game object name. No, not set active. Yes, sure. I'll go through it again. Let me just really quickly. So the final thing that we need to do is decrease the health, right? Damage. You can break this down. It might look a bit hideous, but it can be broken down. So what we're effectively doing here, this is the same as if enemy stats dot armor is greater than damage. So if there's more armor than there is damage, we will int damage equals 0. Right, so if there's more armor on the other entity than we can deal damage, we'll deal 0 damage. Otherwise, we're going to deal damage equals the damage we can deal minus enemy stats to armor. This might be shoddily named. Does this make more sense? This expanded version, yeah. This is the same, they're identical. They're exactly the same, only this uses a ternary. So it uses ternary is so let me int damage equals condition if true, if false, right? So you can just convert the, so our condition is this, is the stats greater than the damage we can deal? If it's true, we deal 0 damage. If it's false, we deal damage minus enemy stats to armor. Right? We're going to use the ternary because it's shorter, and we love conciseness. Yeah, it might be. It's just shorter, so that's why I picked it. So now we actually we deal damage. This is currently never set, so it'll stay at its default of 0. So actually, let's do that now. Let's do that now. Currently we only have our melee. Yeah, we have our melee object in the scene right now. So let's go into enemy. Let's do it all from the editor. Project, assets, scripts, enemy behavior, which is melee. This is range. So enemy behavior melee. Open it up. We're going to add 2 new variables. So serialize field of private. What are we going to do? This is int damage and a serialize field private hitbox. Cool. So in our attack routine. So you don't know. We're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna set it up. We're gonna set it up. Then we're gonna start messing around. Enemy. Enemy movement, no, behavior, cool. Let's set the damage to say 10 or 11, no, 11, so that we actually deal damage to the player. We'll set the damage in enemy behavior melee to 11. Let's, yeah, sure. You know what? I'm gonna move the hitbox script. I'm gonna move it onto behavior. Oh, I don't know. Should I? You know what? No. I'm not gonna get hammered. I'm gonna leave the hitbox script on the hitbox child, and I'm going to actually reassign it. So assign the hitbox to the hitbox field. Okay. Oh, I really hope this works. But you know what? Live fast, I am. What's life without a few risks? We've now assigned the damage and the hitbox from Unity. In the attack coroutine, now we need to basically enable and disable our hitbox, right? We need to set the game up, the parent game object, and we need to set the damage. Hitbox.parent equals game object. So we set it to this, to the actual enemy. Hitbox.damage equals damage. It's mostly just forwarding fields, right? Because those are properties. We don't use properties right now. We have a damage on the enemy, so that we don't have to hard code a different. So we don't have to hard code the damage in the hitbox, right? So we can pass it to it programmatically, which is great fun. Hitbox.gameObject.setActive, yeah, true. Enable it. Hitbox.gameObject.setActive false. So what this does is it'll set the hitbox active. It'll then wait for however long the attack cooldown is, and then it'll deactivate the hitbox again. So this hitbox will only be active when the enemy is stun locked from their attack, right? It's when they're cooling down from their attack and they're not moving. We're also going to have to go back to Unity. Pardon me again. We're going to go back to Unity. We're going to go into hitbox and we're going to disable it. We want to disable it so that the hitbox isn't so it's not there until the enemy attacks. If we left it on, right, it would only be deactivated when we've completed an attack. So we'd be able to take damage from the enemy all the time, basically, until it attacked us, which is not very good. So we have to set it to false. We have to turn it off by default. Okay, that's the enemy behavior melee done. Ranged should have it as well. Yeah, ranged has it as well. That's nice. It doesn't have it yet because we're not actually we're gonna ignore the ranged enemy for now. Let's play and see what happens. Console. Okay, and you see that we deal a damage to the cube. That's nice. That's very nice indeed. Let's see. Let's go down enemy hitbox. Come on. Why does it keep going closer and closer? This is a bit of an issue. Let me see. We're going to just buff up the range a little bit. Base tracking attack range 1.5. You know what? Sure. 1.5. That seems good enough, right? Maybe that'll stop it because it seems to just be constantly moving towards us. Okay. Yeah. Now it's actually attacking. And now it's properly dealing damage. Okay, this is good. This is good. This is what we want. I'm really sorry. It's a bit scuffed. But it works now, right? We're dealing damage, and you see that we're constantly getting dealt 1 damage. If you attacks with you another side, no. So the hitbox is currently in front of it. So right now we're not. This is a bit of a bug because if you remember, we're using nav mesh agents, which don't reorientate. Like as long as we stay within the range, he won't turn to face us, and we won't actually have any damage dealt to us. The hitbox is right here, right now. It's here. It's in front of the enemy. but because we're like within the range technically, he's not going to turn to make his hitbox face us, so we're not having any damage dealt to us. Nothing's happening. That will be fixed later because I have to see how to fix that, because it might just be a limitation of the Nervash agent. We might need to change the range to be less forgiving. Oh, that would be fun. But yeah, if we go in front of the enemy, look, it deals damage. Yeah. Well, I actually need to check. Does our health? Oh, we don't have health visible here. Okay. So we've got enemies attacking us, right? But right now it's a bit scuffed, because Hitbox has to care about how much damage we deal. What's like, how does armor work? It then has to like actually change health. So health has to have a public setter, which isn't ideal. Armor and experience, they can go private straight away because they should never be touched outside of this script. But right now we can't set health to private because we use it setter here. How are we going to get around this? This is where Unity events come in. So we've already used regular events a little bit, if you remember. Now we're going to be using Unity events. So what is a Unity event? Unity events go, I think they're in by default. So I'll just quickly add a Unity event, so damage event. I might have to import something. Oh, that would not be ideal. I might have to import Unity engine.events or something similar. Using Unity engine events. Yeah, there you go. It's not very well explained right now. A Unity event is very similar to a regular C# event. It's very, very similar. The only difference is that it does some additional like, housekeeping stuff on top of it. So it allows you to clear the list of registered handlers. It allows you to assign handlers within the editor instead of just in code. And it also it allows you to actually like look at your handler list, which pardon me, I'm yawning way too frequently. It allows you to see the handler list, which is a double-edged sword, really, because you don't want to ever care about what handlers are assigned. Because then if you start caring, you get fragile code. The whole point of events is to be able to decouple your code, which is a fancy way of saying one piece of code doesn't actually care how another piece of code works. It doesn't care what other pieces of code use that other piece, like this stats shouldn't care how much, or rather, oh my goodness, I'm skipping the explanation. I am so sorry. Let me just restart. Here in Hitbox, we have to care about how much damage we deal, right? We have to care about how armor works. We don't want to do that. We want this to be very simple. For example, wouldn't it be nice if we could just do the damage, and then we can just do damage, right? Wouldn't it be nice if we could just do that? We don't have to care how much armor the other stats have. We just forward the damage. In this way, we don't have to do any computation. We don't have to change hitbox whenever like we change how armor works. We can put all of the logic that's tied to stat in the stats class. So we only have to open up one file and make edits. That's really nice. That's decoupling. The way to do that is through events, either native, so C# events, or Unity events. Unity events are basically C# events, but a bit fatter. They have some extra stuff built in that you don't need to use, but you can if you want to. We also need to add another using statement here, using system, because from the Unity docs, whenever you want to have a Unity event with parameters, right? So this right now is very similar to public event action int. In fact, it's basically identical. These two are identical. Whenever you want to have a Unity event, you need to also have a serializable. This is just Unity stuff. Unfortunately, that's just what you have to do. Public damage event, damage listener. That's what we're going to call it. Yeah, we've got the damage listener now. Let's have a private void start. Right? Yeah, that's. Oh no, because I've already got it there. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's take this slightly. Oh my goodness, one step at a time, one step at a time. Okay, so we can go back to Hitbox. Here where we've got stats, this is no longer what we have to do. We have to do a listener dot invoke. So we're going to call all of the stuff with the damage that we deal. There we go. So this is the same thing as we wanted to do. We go back to stats, and we have to now add a handler method. So first thing first, we can make health stats private, right? We don't have to allow other scripts to edit health directly. We can handle all of the logic within stats. Next, what we have to do is create a handler method to handle the invocation. So from Hitbox, when we do damage listener.info, we now have to write a method to handle whenever that happens. So let's call that one take damage. And int raw damage, sure, why not? Let's call it that. And this is where we're going to do the previous calculation. We're changing a few other things, so we no longer have to check for enemy stats.armor. We can just do armor directly. Is raw damage 0. So if armor is greater than raw damage, we block it completely. Otherwise, we do raw damage minus armor. Awesome. And we'll do health minus equal damage. Okay, we've got this method. It's never assigned to the damage listener, so it'll never be called, right? We're going to do that in our start method. So here we're going to do, first we need to check if the damage listener is even null. So much like C# events, without a, so if we have an event, we have to do my event invoke, right? Because if it doesn't have any registered handlers, it's null. We're going to check for that. So if damage listener equals null, we're going to actually just create a new damage listener, or the new damage event. This is important because if we don't set up any events in the Unity editor, it could be null. And we don't want to have a null reference exception, so we have to check for that. Then we need to assign the thing. We need to assign the listener, so .add listener, and we're going to pass in the onTake damage method. And that's it. That's all we need to do. Let's remove this this debug line. One thing that I'm also going to do is quickly add two properties: max health get return. Yeah, let's just return base health for now, and public int max armor get return base armor. This will be used later. It's a surprise tool that can help us later. But also because we don't have any modifiers right now, we can just return base armor and base health, and they're guaranteed to be our maximum health and armor respectively. Cool. So that's actually everything we need to do, I think. So we save the script, go back to Unity. Oh yeah, so this is a damage listener that we saw earlier. It's got a nice UI in Unity. That's the one thing that differentiates it from a C# event. But in theory, we should now. Oh no, it's broken, is it? It's broken. Why is it broken? Oh well, I know why it's broken. because health isn't ever shown. Only base health is shown. We're going to add debug.log here. Debug.log dealing damage to game object.name. Health will be health. Okay, just for now, just to convince myself that it works. Q. Okay, health is going down. Health is going down. Any questions on that? He's dying. Yeah, I'm currently dead, but let's ignore that. That explanation was a bit patchy in places. And any questions? So that, you know, we're all on the same page. Let's comment that out. No, awesome. I'm going to move on. So you see how, so we have damage working. We lose health. It's not an issue. We might want to actually have a UI for it so we can see the damage going down instead of having to look at our console. Because when you're in game, the player doesn't actually see a console unless it's like a debug build and they've got certain like special flags enabled, I think. In a regular game, they're not going to see the console, so we need to have some visual representation of the health. So that's what we're now going to move on to UI. UI code's great. So first things first, right click, create, so add UI event system. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it at the bottom. Right click on cube, UI, where is it? Canvas. And we're going to change its name to HUD, right? Might as well, heads up display, we love it. This UI scale mode, it shouldn't be constant pixel size, it should be scale the screen size, and this should be set to 0.5, so when people change resolution, the UI scales with the resolution. It doesn't like it doesn't suddenly start being in the center of the screen away from the edges because you've switched to a wider monitor, right? Don't want that. So we're just going to quickly set the UI scale mode to scale the screen size, and the match should be 0.5. Okay, we've got a HUD. Don't see anything yet. So right click, create empty, and this creates a new UI game object. It's different from a regular, like, so if we create a empty game object here, you see it's just got a transform. Oh, whoops. If we do that, if we specifically create a UI game object, it'll have a Rex transform. Slightly different. You want this version. We're going to set this width to 200 for now, and we're going to set the height to 20. And you might ask me, what the hell is this? Well, this is going to be our health bar. We're also going to change, the anchor to the corner. Let's, you know what, 0, 0. Why not? Don't see anything yet. So image, background. Select this area, hold Alt to change not anchors, but also position, and select this to stretch. So it now stretches. Where is it? This is a good question. Do I need to set the pivot as well? Oh no. Where is my background? You know what? Let's ignore it for now. Just ignore it. I'm going to move the event system up here, maybe. No. I'm not even sure. This worked earlier when I was trying it out, so not really sure what's happened. What happens if it should be up here? Any ideas? It's inside the cube. No, it shouldn't be because this is UI. That didn't change. Okay. Delete. It's gone now. It's gone now. Let's just create a text to debug. I don't see it. Yeah. Game. Oh my goodness! It was there all along. It was. Oh no! It's there all along. It's just that in the scene we don't see it. It's there in the game view. Goodness sake! I'm sorry. I'm completely throwing image. We're gonna use the game from now on. I'm gonna change this color to just blue. Blue. There we go. Debug colors. Debug colors. Yes, it was hiding. So Alt, because we want. Oh god damn it. Alt to stretch. So it stretches. It's there. It's what it's meant to be. Okay. And this will be background. We're actually going to set this to white though. Yeah. Okay. So we've done here. We held Alt so that it anchors and sets the position to stretch. So it's now stretching. You don't see it because it's white. We're going to right click, health bar, UI, image. This will be foreground. And we're going to do the same. So click the little selector, hold Alt, and click the stretch. This is going to be red, and we want red. Great, yeah, see, we've got our little health bar. So we go into health bar. We're on the health bar UI. We're going to look for slider. We're going to add the slider script component. We're going to deselect interactable, and we're going to drag our foreground onto our fill rect. We can now control it. It's beautiful. This is peak Unity. It's not going to get any better than this. This is good enough, right? We've now got a health bar. If we change the camera to not be 90 degrees, but like 45 or something. Okay, maybe not 45, like 30, and then just minus 20. You can see that it's there. It was just hiding against the white plane. So let's set that back for now. We've got our health bar. We don't have any way of actually updating the health bar, right? So we've got it, but it doesn't actually do anything. If we go into game, no matter how much the enemy damages us, pardon me, it's not going to change. So we go into project, assets, scripts, right click, create C# script, player display. Let's call it player display. Open it up. Trash all of this useless garbage. Cool. So we need to have a hold a reference to yeah slider. No. Health slider. I'm missing a using engine .ui. What do we need? Oh, I've just remembered. I can't go too far without showing something else. So currently the stats are all held on the player object, right? But we want to access it from the UI as well. How do we do that? We need to somehow share them, but one game object always has to have the master copy. Since we know that there's only ever going to be one player in this game, there's not going to be two players because it's not multiplayer. We're not going to be implementing multiplayer. We can use this thing called the singleton. It's static. We're going to hold the player stats and player state in a static field, and it'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be beautiful. So go to asset scripts, right click, create C# script, player, let's call it player controller. And we're going to drag it onto the player. Oh, come on, drag it onto the player. While we're here, we might as well add the player display onto the player. Anyway, so player controller. Open up player controller in your favorite text editor. I'm basically quoting the script. Okay. We're going to. We need to hold a reference to the stats. Sure. Let's do that. So serialize field, private stats, player stats. Oh, I'm not sure about that. Let's do it. Stats, player stats, serialize field, private player display. So let's call this player HUD or something similar. Private. Private void. Add an await method. So we want to have something similar to this, right? We want to have a static player controller instance. We only want to have one instance of the player controller active. If the player switches scenes, we don't want the player's stats to suddenly go away. We want them to persist. That's the technical term for it. Unity gives us a way to do this. It's called by calling the don't destroy unload game object. By calling this method, we can ensure that the given object, in this case, the game object, won't ever be destroyed. It won't be unloaded when we change the scenes. However, if we kept doing this, if we say we added 2 players to 2 different scenes, the player in the first scene, they won't be destroyed. We'll load the second scene and there'll be a second player. We don't want that, right? We want to only ever have 1 copy of the player. The way to get around that is to check if our instance, if instance equals null, we destroy. Oh, pardon me, I am yawning awfully often. Else instance equals this and don't destroy on game. This you might not understand what this does. It's quite simple. If we haven't set this field ever, since this is static, this is set on player controller, right? To access it, we have to do player controller.instance. It's on the actual class. If we never set it, it's going to be null. Wait, no. This I've messed up. It has to be if it's not null, we need to destroy it. So if it's been set, we need to destroy the current game object because we know it's a copy, right? This is the second player, effectively. The first player will see, oh, instance hasn't been set yet. So we're going to set the instance, and then we're going to mark this, the first game object, the first player, first scene player, as no, don't destroy and load. So it'll stay. Any copies that we get afterwards, we're just going to destroy straight away. That's that. Like, we've got this, but you know what? So we're going to add the on enable, and we're going to add the on disable methods. These are going to be used to set up a reference from in the player display. So right now we have a slider, but we don't have the health to do anything with. So we need to add. So go to player display. We're going to need to add a private stats current stats field. We're going to need to have a public void setup reference. This method is named a bit weird. It's fine. All it does is basically set this field, right? And it'll set in starting health bar values. Public void tear down references. Because we're going to be binding to events, we need to add handlers, but we also need to remove them after, so we don't have memory leaks, right? So let's start off with setup references. This is really simple. Current stats equals player stats. That's a reference. We can now use current stats wherever we want. We then need to do health slider dot max value equals player stats dot max health. This is why we had max health there. Health slider dot value equals player stats dot health. Okay. And you know what? Current so player stats dot damage listener dot add listener, and we're going to add a on health update. Right now we won't create that method right away. We'll do it in a second. When we tear down references, so basically toggle it off, we unload it, we need to set this to null. And we're going to also do player stats dot damage listener dot remove listener on health update. Right. Okay. We've used this on health update method. What is it going to look like? Private void on health update int damage. We don't really care about the damage so much as we want to do health slider dot value equals current stats dot health. Right. And this would technically work. However, notice that this could be null. What happens after we've torn down, because we removed the listener, it should never be called after it's null. What could happen is a race condition, a very, very slim race condition, a very, very narrow window, but it could happen where we set this to null, the thread here gets scheduled out, another thread comes in and calls the on health update, and this is now null, and we have a null reference exception, right? That's not good. So we need to ensure that current stats is never null. One way we could do this is null propagation, and then we just add 0 here or something. However, we get a little notice. Unity objects should not use null propagation. This isn't ideal. It's just how you should use Unity. So what we're going to do instead, it's ugly. It's ugly. I'll give you that. But it also works. That's the second ternary this workshop. This is the same thing, just not as beautiful looking. So now this doesn't have the race condition. This can be set to null, and we just will replace with 0. So we're all good. Also, so we've done the player display class. Cool, save that. But now we need to go back to player controller, and we need to do the on enable, on disable methods. We've got stats, we've got a player HUD. We just need to like call the methods now. So player HUD dot setup references, player stats, player HUD dot tear down references, player stats. Save. Very short. Go back to Unity, and if I'm lucky, come on. Okay, so we need to set it. So first of all, drag the health bar into player display health slider, and this is on the cube, the player game object. Then you drag player display script into this thing. You drag the stats into here. In fact, we're also going to reorder it, so it's above both of them. Now, we could have done this through get component. We just chose to use the Unity editor because it was just slightly faster. We could have done it through Unity editor as well, and then we would have to drag it. But make sure you assign them. And if I'm lucky, and I haven't messed stuff up too badly, our health bar works. Oh, okay, that's brilliant. It still goes negative, mind you. It still goes negative, but that's fine. That's not a problem, right? You might also notice this don't destroy unload scene that was created. That actually contains our like player. This is where our player is placed. It's all in here. Oh, yeah, the spawner's going. That's it. Any questions? I am anticipating a lot of questions. That actually didn't take as long as I thought. I guess I just didn't add too much to this workshop. Oof. No questions then, right? Right. Oh my goodness. Do we want to maybe do no? So is listen to the damage taken? Yeah. where's stats? There's stats. Damage listener will basically just be there to allow other scripts to cause us to take damage without having to actually care about which methods we need to call, right? So you notice how in the player so in the stats we add a listener. So this is like this is the default one on take damage. This is always going to be ran, and then we don't really have to care about unregistering this because, well, the object's going to be destroyed afterwards anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So this thing always has to be called, and then in player display we might want to call other methods like on health update. Hitbox shouldn't have to call. It shouldn't have to care there's a display, right? So that's why we basically listen for any damage that we take. Yeah, I mean, so the damage listener is listening to the damage taken. Yes, it's listening for whenever the stats object takes damage. Whenever we have to take some damage, we just need to invoke the damage listener with the amount of damage to deal. If that makes sense. Oh, any other questions? I'm more than happy to go over stuff. I'd like to try to have a second shot at it because some bits were a bit flaky. I can't lie. The current script, what's parent? That'll be used. It's a surprise tool that'll help us later. It's there so that if so when the with the damage listener, we only currently pass the damage taken, right? We might also want to pass in who dealt us damage. So you have a boss, right? And the boss wants to target the last game object that dealt it damage. So say you've got a player and you've got some NPCs. The boss wants to target whichever game object dealt it damage more recently. Then we'd have to change damage listeners. So instead of being a Unity event int, we'd have to change it to be a Unity event int game object, right? And then in invoke, so where is it? Where's hitbox? Where's hitbox? Here we couldn't just pass in the game object. Oh, okay, we've found a solution for that mesh rotation. That's awesome. Yes, we can add that as an errata or an addendum to the workshop 3. Or just go into next week's. Yeah, I'll just mention it in next week's workshop. Here we'd have to add parent as well, right? This is what this would turn into, so we could pass in the parent. We don't do that right now, but it's just there for the future. Basically, don't worry about it. Okay. Anything else? Okay, doesn't seem to be any questions. This has been very short, very short for a workshop. I guess I overestimated how much content was in there. We'll just say that it's the first one back. Wanted to ease into it. That should be everything because we got the display working. We got this. We got stats and enemies. Well, I mean, the other enemy that has its hitbox turned off and doesn't have melee, so it wouldn't actually deal any damage. But that should be fine. Yeah, that's it. So CMD, it's status. We've got a bunch of stuff. So what branch are we on? We're on workshop 3. Git adds dot git commit finished workshop 3. Sure. Yeah, let's do that. get push. Oh, right, get push dash u origin workshop 03. Okay. Ta-da! Oh my goodness, yeah. Clap, clap, yes. I'm gonna stop recording because there's nothing more that needs to be recorded.